Next, and again, what can you tell us about Dean Thomas and Don Banville?
Dean Thomas, very, very, very accomplished fighter. He previously held the World Extreme Fighting lightweight title, which he vacated earlier in the year. He took some time off to get himself healthy and back in shape. He has international experience in Japan. Had a 3-round war with Kara Uno, who many consider to be the top lightweight in the world. He's well put together. He's got a nice height at this weight, 5'10", 155. As you see, that one loss coming to Kara Uno. So certainly Banville has his hands full tonight with Dean Thomas.
Let's take a look at Dean Thomas's strengths as you take a look at the fighter coming in. There you see ranked 7th, Judo Japan.
Again, as we talked about, he's a well-rounded fighter. He's great on his feet. He's tough to take down. If he does go to the ground, we've seen him win by submission on a number of times. And I call him a defensive fighter as well. He really sort of lets the opponent bring the fight to him, and he decides what he does from there. He's a great counter-puncher, great counter-submission specialist.
All right, here comes his opponent making his way to the octagon, Don Banville. As he comes through the smoke, and good look at a fighter from Fall River, Massachusetts.
Well, I tell you, Donnie Banville at 5'7", 155 pounds, coming out of Fall River, Mass. This guy comes as a highly, highly touted submission specialist, although this is his NHB debut. A little bit different from submission background versus NHB. Supposed to have some great conditioning, and again, I think experience in NHB is going to be a factor here.
Let's take a look at the tail of the tape between Thomas and Banville as they get set to go in our final preliminary bout of the evening. And there you see the age difference. Banville 4 years older than Thomas, but the height advantage going to Dean Thomas. How much of a factor will that be?
I tell you, I think that he has a significant reach advantage, which obviously is directly correlated to the height, or at least in most of these individuals' cases.
All right, let's go back to the ring and TJ Thompson.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next fight, set at 155 pounds, the fighter to my right, wearing the rival black trunks trimmed in white, stands at 5 foot 10 inches tall, weighing at 155 pounds. He's a Vale Tudo fighter with a 9-1 professional record from Orlando, Florida, Dean Thomas. And ladies and gentlemen, the fighter to my left, 5 foot 8 inches tall, also 155 pounds. He's a black belt in judo, a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, making his professional fighting debut from Fall River, Massachusetts, Don Banville.
Oh, that's his girlfriend, Don Banville's, we're told, as they get set to go. Banville making his pro debut coming up right now, and in for probably a pretty tough test against Dean Thomas.
Absolutely. It's a worthy opponent for a first fight, to say the least.
Thomas on the left, Banville on the right as they get things going. 4-minute rounds, 3 of them.
I would expect that Dean's going to try to pressure Banville, knowing it's his first pro debut. I think Banville's going to look to skirt the punches and kicks of Dean, perhaps get this to the ground quickly on a takedown. It'd be interesting to see if he can take Thomas down.
Thomas trying to use that height advantage, which obviously makes it a reach advantage as well. We didn't talk about that. How much of an advantage is a reach in NHB?
Well, certainly for a counterpuncher, it's a big advantage. Even if you can't get your punch off first, you can get there first. There's the first takedown attempt by Banville as he brings Thomas right into the guard.
Is that exactly what Banville was looking to do right there?
I think this is where Banville wants to be, and he did a nice job. He knew he wasn't going to get the takedown. He just pulled him right into his guard. You see Dean Thomas taking that left hand and working into the ribs of Banville. Those shots, while they initially don't take a lot of toll, they begin to take toll over a period of the fight.
It's kind of like those leg kicks we saw earlier, then you just try to wear your opponent down a little bit.
They linger with you, and they tend to take some oxygen out of you as well.
So Banville again on the bottom in the guard position. It looks like Thomas trying to work him to the cage.
Banville did a real nice job. I'm very, very impressed with that, especially for his pro debut in a cage. Knew exactly where he was at, looked to turn himself away from the cage immediately, knowing that he does not want his head or his body pressed up against it for Dean to work on. Again, Dean takes those rib shots back to him. You can see both these fighters are very, very composed.
Surprising Banville again, talking about composure for a guy in there for the first time.
I tell you, he has a lot of confidence in talking to him, especially. He has a lot of confidence in his submission skills, his camp, and the people up in the Northeast know him very, very well, and just say he's a titan with submissions.
1997 New England lightweight advanced jiu-jitsu champion is Don Banville from Fall River, Mass.
He's also a brown belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and a black belt in judo. So he certainly knows his way around a mat. Let's see what he does with the cage.
Kind of the chess match going on right now. Not a lot of action, crowd kind of unruly, but these guys both know what they're doing. They're trying to work into some sort of opportune position as the referee will break the two fighters.
Well, I tell you, one thing that certainly differs about World Extreme is we're going to bring them back to their feet if they're making no progress. Not working, not a lot of action. Once again, Banville looking, oh, nice submission attempt there. He's looking for a reverse heel hook on Dean. I tell you, he's almost got that toe secured.
And Thomas worked his way out of it, though.
Yeah, nice job. Thomas is an experienced fighter. It's going to take a lot to catch a quick submission, but I'm impressed with Banville so far.
Well, you talk about the referee breaking and bringing him back to the feet, and Michael Landsberg talked about it in our open. It's for the fans. I mean, that's, you see a kick there.
This is a technique recently employed by Sakuraba to literally destroy Royce Gracie's legs in the Pride event. Banville just needs to keep his knees elevated, keep his feet a little bit to the outside, and watch he doesn't take those legs on the toes or are too high on the leg. One thing Dean has to watch here is that he doesn't get too close and Banville kick right on the knee and hyperextend the knee.
Banville back to his feet. We have 40 seconds left to go in the first round.
Dean's doing a nice job of closing the distance. Banville obviously doesn't want to go toe-to-toe and strike with him. There's an overhand right, left, and another right. Banville's going to look to shoot in. Dean's going to look to finish.
Banville covering up, and Thomas going with a knee and then a right, left hand rather.
Banville doing a nice job of just covering up and basically getting the hell out of there.
Banville right now thinking, all right, I got 5 seconds or so to get through this round and regroup, and that's exactly what he's going to be able to do, as the horn is going to sound, and that'll do it for the first round. Banville and Dean Thomas, and Thomas with a big flurry at the end of the first round. And Wade Rome, do you think enough to get the round then?
Well, I tell you, that's exactly what I was thinking. Dean Thomas, an experienced fighter, he knows, hey, 15, 20 seconds left in the round. Let me get a flurry off. Let's see if I can steal this round and make sure the judges see it my way. Banville, I was very impressed. He maintained his composure. He covered up well. He doesn't want to go toe-to-toe and strike with Dean Thomas. He knew exactly what he was doing, just looking to bring it back to the mat.
We talked about it earlier with our first fight of the evening for Don Banville making his pro NHP debut against a veteran. There you see Dean Thomas, who had that flurry at the end. And
this is Banville looking for that submission attempt, which is basically a reverse trip. And right here, what he's looking to do is secure that toe underneath his arm and come underneath the heel and work it against the leg. Once again, the leg just does not rotate that way, and it's a submission as we're underway here in the second round.
Well, Banville survived his first pro round under his belt, and trying to regroup against Dean Thomas. Thomas on the right, and on the left side there is Don Banville. Oh, again, Banville to his backside.
Well, I think that was an attempted trip again, reverse trip, which Dean caught him with a right hand as a counter. He's doing a much better job of keeping his knees elevated and giving Dean Thomas less of a target to kick at, as he learned in the first round.
Again, how much in control right now is Dean Thomas, or is he?
He's really not in control there. Until he can pass the guard and close the distance, Banville has just as many weapons as does Thomas.
Why is he standing him up right there?
It's just no progress. Dean's not closing the distance. Banville can't pull him into the guard or take him down. And we're going to bring him back to the feet and get these guys fighting.
Once again, the fans, the winners here, getting these guys back ready to go as they just over a minute into the second of 3 rounds, 4-minute rounds. And Dean Thomas there, as back to his back goes Banville, and Banville with the crowd not happy about it, gets right back up. It's almost like he's listening to the crowd instead of his own instincts.
Now, I think he knows that the ref's going to pull him back up. What he really wants to do is not lay there and be a target for Dean Thomas on the bottom, although he can strike from the bottom as well. He really wants to secure a takedown here.
It's like, again, the reach of Dean Thomas coming up big right there. Thomas going to back off and allow Banville to get back up.
And I think that's what Banville was waiting there for. He's waiting for the referee to step in so that he doesn't try to get up and take an unnecessary strike from Thomas.
Midway through the fight here, midway through the second round.
I think that Dean Thomas may be frustrating Banville a little bit here. He's starting to take some desperate shots. Basically, it wasn't even a shot. It was a head down, and I'm going to run at him.
Once again, it'll be Thomas backing off. Comes back in. Thomas, a decided height and reach advantage. Get that left hand out there. Going for the takedown there was Banville, but Thomas broke it up nicely.
Thomas did a nice job laying on that right hand there to push the head of Banville back. You notice the welt on the left leg of Banville starting to appear there. He's taking some punishment.
Thomas obviously sees that. Now he's going to switch legs and give him a little matching welt on the other side. You see Banville with his hands behind his head, trying to support himself.
Well, that's a technique that's often employed in jiu-jitsu. Put your hands behind your head. Oh, nice somersault to a kick. Nice job by Dean.
Spectacular move by Dean Thomas. Got the crowd on its feet.
These guys are just great athletes, I tell you. If you ever want to question the athleticism of one of these guys, you should see what they can do other than fight.
We just saw from Dean Thomas. Nice little cartwheel spun around, and crowd loving that. Right back to that, working on the right leg of Banville.
He really is starting to deliver some damage on the legs of Banville here. Upper left thigh showing a nice size welt. Don't have a good look at Banville's right thigh, but it appears as though you see Banville's limping back towards his corner. They're starting to take their toll.
Banville again with 10 seconds to go in the second round. Looking like he's trying to survive as much as anything on a couple legs that have to be awful, awful sore. And Thomas taking a peek as we get ready for the end of round number 2. And the horn sounds, and that'll do it for the second round. Banville and Thomas. And boy, Dean Thomas, spectacular move there in the second round.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a nice cartwheel to try to pass the guard of Banville. I think it took Banville by surprise. I think he's telling his corner, wow, I didn't expect that.
Welcome to the pro ranks, I guess.
If you'll see, he's not supporting weight on that right leg very well here.
He's talking to the official right now, the referee, and wondering if he's able to go on.
I think Mike Green's checking on him and make sure he can continue. Banville's having some dialogue, and his corner's having some dialogue.
That may be it. Boy, I'll tell you what, Banville, as he walks out again, that's going to be it. The fight's going to be called because Banville unable to continue. And the leg kicks from Dean Thomas. You talk about how they take its toll. Well, he just wore down Banville right on down.
I'm not so sure that it's necessarily just a leg kick, but he may have taken an injury on the knee or the ankle there. He's keeping that leg awful stiff. There don't appear to be some real heavy welts there. Dean Thomas jeering to the crowd, telling him, I'm the man, I'm the man.
Well, tonight, Dean Thomas against Don Banville in his first fight as a pro. And well, I'd say Banville looks like he's in some pain. That cannot feel good. Those welts, as they get built up, when you see all of a sudden he just can't walk anymore.
I tell you what happens is the blood starts to pool on the outside of the muscle there. You get a large hematoma, and it begins to affect not only the function of the muscle, but the leg becomes tighter and tighter. And as you see Banville make his way to the center of the ring for the announcement by T.J. Thompson.
And even that wasn't sure for Banville to get there, Thomas. And you know, the one thing we noticed, we'll talk about it throughout the night in sportsmanship here. I mean, these guys go toe-to-toe, and when it's all said and done, a lot of respect out there.
There really is. These guys are professional athletes. They're not out here to hurt each other on a permanent basis. They're not out here to call each other names. What they're looking for is to win this fight.
Let's go back to ring announcer T.J. Thompson for the announcement of tonight's winner in the fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, failing to answer the bell in the beginning of the third round due to an injury, your winner, Dean Thomas.
There you see Dean Thomas. And I'll tell you what, he's some kind of fired up. Let's take a look again at what did the damage and what won the fight for Dean Thomas, who carries Don Banville out. Banville saying, you know what, I had enough. Thomas will help him to the back, and here's how he won the fight. I'm sure you've never felt these kind of kicks before, have you?
I wish I'd never felt these kind of kicks before. I tell you, Banville's going to be feeling this for a few weeks.
There you see on the left leg, that welt, and it just got bigger and bigger.
And I tell you, it appeared to be the right leg that was having a lot of trouble with Banville there. So I'm not so sure he didn't take a knee right on the knee and just have a little bit of bone-on-bone contact that called that fight.